Okay, so I want to discuss why some white identified people get so angry about this sort of increase in media representation. I'm not just talking about these sort of color swaps or this like forced diversity. Some people also get upset that there's just generally this increase of more diverse or reflective representation. And I believe that this is mostly has to do with losing the spotlight. Okay. Because you know, some of it was reasonable or justified why people would be upset about it, right? Um, Color swaps, right? It's just, if it's like a superhero, that's just messing with an established character. Um, it's, you know, they had that stronger connection with that character, and then just the act of doing it can be irritating, annoying, and that type of thing, right? Or the forced diversity, um, right? Some of that is through manipulation and bullying, right? Like black identified people are actually overrepresented in the media, largely through like manipulation and bullying. You get a sense of that when you're watching this sort of forced diversity. And sometimes the forced diversity is just messes up the whole show or movie, or it's just like a historical, and that like all of that is like sort of um, understandable. But this is not just about those things, or just not liking these different populations and not liking it for that reason. It seems like the real main reason why these people are getting upset are because then there's the other hand of like some of this, it's like people are acting like it's some type of conspiracy, like, or like white genocide type of thing, when one these color cast people were just underrepresented. So there's like white cast people are overrepresented and color cast people were underrepresented. So some of it is just a natural sort of balancing out. Then other reasons is just like monetary reasons, right? It's harder to, when they're making movies from scratch or characters from scratch, it doesn't do as well. So they're just, converting established things for that. And they also figured out that movies that are more reflective um, do better in the theater. So a lot of it's just monetary reasons for these things as well. So why do some get so angry? It's because it's the spotlight. They're angry that they're losing the spotlight. That sort of effect of the spotlight doesn't work unless they have the sole spotlight, right? There's no sharing of spotlights. That's not how this spotlight works, right? They're concerned about this sort of not just legacy, but just the hype that spotlight, that effect, right? You hear about white identified people going to different countries, and people will treat you like rock stars, largely because of um, the media, right? That it's that thunder, it's that hype, it's that sort of cultivating that thing, and that only works if you have the soul spotlight. So it's not quite being upset that people are stealing your thunder. In a sense, it's that level of hype only works if you have a soul spotlight. Okay. And but that is such a like counterproductive futile endeavor, because the only way that was possible was because of this deeply rigged and corrupt system, which is no longer sustainable or effective. It's almost like this sibling rivalry, right? Where you want the sole attention from your parents, and you get angry when your parents give your siblings attention, but you have siblings, right? So it's like, why did you build this sort of tool, this premise on this unsustainable sort of foundation, right? You want this sort of rock star effect, which requires this soul spotlight, but like you're acting, and you guys sometimes you feel like that. You're acting as if you're the only, like you only exist. Like that would only be viable and effective if you only existed, and that's how it's been, as if you only existed. Like we were really tolerating watching you in all these TV shows with us having like these very small scraps and that type of thing, even up until very recently. Like how many color cast people have watched Chronicles of Narnia when there's like not a speck of brown people in it? Like I believe a lot of us wouldn't do that anymore. Like, but you had that sense that you were the only people in the world, that you only existed, right? But so you built this sort of tool on that, but I don't know, that's not the case. Like it's such a waste of energy. It's so futile to try to resist um, this sort of reflective representation, because there's a difference between diverse and reflective representation, right? Um, like diverse, we don't need diversity. Like it just should be reflective. Like in Britain, there was like a reality show where only one of the there was like 10 contestants or something, and only one of the contestants was like black cast, and people got mad about that. But Britain, that's reflective of the population. Why would there be a place, a country where black cast people are only 10% of the population, but so why would they be 20-25% of the cast? If they're 10% of the country, then that would 1 in 10 is okay. And sometimes it would even be okay if it's like on some seasons there's no black cast people, because that can just happen. Why would there be 2 to 3 black identified people in a country where you're only 10% of the population, right? 1 in 10 is reflective. Making 2 or 3 is diverse. We don't need diversity. But people are getting mad about reflective representation. Like, and that was only based on the premise that you guys were the only people who existed on planet Earth, and you guys sometimes you feel that way, like this hyper self-centric, hyper self-absorbed, type of thing. Like when you say like Christopher Columbus discovered America, like white cast people register themselves as these like superior the humans, and everyone else is sort of wildlife, right? How did you discover something that was already discovered? It's because you don't register those people as people. They're just like props and animals and wildlife type of thing. Okay? And so it's understandable that you think you're like the sole main characters, but that was only possible because our systems were very corrupt, and we basically like had a trauma bond with you. But now the trauma bond is starting to fade, and trying to initiate them is becoming less effective. Like, so that's no longer going to work. Like, are you guys going to scream all the way down? Like, and the thing is, like, you have a back catalog of 1 million TV shows and movies, like a million. Like, I think there's like something like 1,600,000 movies and TV shows in existence, and you were in them. Like, we were barely in them for most of the existence of like TV shows and movies, and then you're still currently overrepresented. So like, you have a back catalog of 1 million TV shows and movies, and you're still currently overrepresented. So you have hundreds of current TV shows and movies. Like, I don't get. But then that's the thing. It's like you're not concerned about that. You're just concerned about. I mean, on one sense, you're just spoiled because it's like you don't register this mountain of 1 million TV shows and movies, or these hundreds of current TV shows, many of them high quality, high budget, like no other population has, maybe except for like people in India have like Harry Potter's, Lord of the Rings, Games of Thrones, Chronicles of Narnia type of thing. Only you do, right? No one else has Rick and Morty, Solar Opposites, Family Guy, South Park, Bob's Burgers, Central Park, The Great White North, BoJack Horseman. Like, you just have hundreds of current shows. I've even seen where it's like decent quality shows get canceled because white identified people have so much choice, have so many choices and content that you guys these shows get canceled because you just didn't know that they existed because you have so many choices. Okay, so it's not just about um you're just spoiled on content. Like, I think we're underestimating how effect the effect of TV shows and movies. Like the Little Mermaid situation, it's like um you could just literally be petty and like don't watch the live action, watch the original, watch the sequel, and then watch the 40 or 50 mermaid TV shows and movies that star you, people who look like you. No one else can do that. So you're just spoiled on content where to the point where you don't even register it anymore. Like, this has had this sort of like, this was just supposed to be entertainment and that type of thing, but it's having like this counterproductive effect or something. It's like, or like, say if they swap like a superhero into a black coated passing person, why can't you just go look at the dozens of white coated male superheroes? Like, it just makes no sense, type of thing. Um, so it's just spoiled, but then it's also like you guys are just concerned with your little spotlight. But why that spotlight was always temporary? That was never going to happen. So why are you complaining about it? Like, no, you're no longer going to be the main character. Is that so bad with a planet full of other people? Like, you want to be the main character on a planet of 7 billion people, right? The race isn't real, but there are like facets to the Gaian gene pool. Like, you want to be the sole facet when there's like 5 other facets of the Gaian gene pool. And but then it's worse because it's like you still currently are basically the main character, but that's not enough. So what's the point? It's like pouring water into a cup with a hole at the bottom. Like, I thought you guys were like at least appreciate. I didn't realize that you guys weren't even appreciating it. like I had some sense of like when watching Chronicles of Narnia, like, oh, we're not in this and we're supposed to be the animals. Or like watching Lord of the Rings, like, oh, I have a sense that we're the trolls and the goblins and the orcs, and we're not in it. And like, I just don't see how you can have Harry Potter, 8 movies, a spin-off, and complain about anything. Or but I thought you appreciated it. You guys don't even appreciate it. You don't register it. You don't realize this sort of abundance and bounty that you have. And that includes not just like the people who are like, yes, I know it's like a minority of you that who are like very like antagonistic and aggressive about it, but still most white identified people are still sort of so spoiled that you don't register how um, how much that you have. Basically, this is all pointless, is what I'm saying. Not just pointless, but you just don't not appreciate it, but it just makes you into like bad people. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like people are touching your stash. Like, you guys are addicts. It's like you guys are glory addicts. This media is glorifying us, and you guys are glory addicts. And you have so much of it, you don't realize how like unnatural and how much excessive of it that you have. It's like it's pointless. It's not as pointless. It's just detrimental for everyone. Like, I think not just you. I'm saying you that as a more of a like, I don't think because I don't believe in race or anything, but it's just a good sort of almost warning because where everyone's going in that direction. I believe we all representation needs to be reduced. At least it's glorifying and um, glorifying representation, like these flawless superheroes and all these types of things. Like, I also often wonder, it's like how many white identified mass shooters have there been, school shooters? But there's all this TV shows and media, but nothing really explores that. Maybe like a documentary, like the Columbine shooters, but like a TV show, like a drama, like a dramatized fictional like TV show or movie that really explores the life and the experiences that drive someone to commit a mass shooting or um, shoot up a school. I think there was just like one show that really dived in that, and then you guys were like there was some I don't know some show. It has stars that guy from that plays Captain America. Okay, because it's like I'm not saying like white identified people are evil, but you're just people like there's no like everyone just wants this sort of perfect representation. Like no one wants to have like I saw people be like, she's playing the villain, so no one wants to play the villain. No one wants to. Everyone wants these perfect, glorified, glor- glory-filled characters. Like, but the issue with that is that people are sort of becoming like you even see that like these even though it's fictional shows about serial killers, you guys like romanticize them. It's affecting us where it's like people are already sort of having issues distinguishing between fiction and reality. Like everyone's walking around here like they're perfect superheroes when none of when we're not. We're like the opposite. Like 90% of us have like emotional maturity of a toddler. We're destroying the planet. Like I don't think I think it would be nice if there was like a representation break. Like even though like white identified people and black identified people, you guys kind of take it to the next level. Like you're both overrepresented in the media. Like I would be down for like a white blackout where only like people with mestizo, various Asian origins, deep origins, um, are represented in the media for like a year because y'all are drunk. Everyone's becoming drunk on this sort of false, unearned glory, and that's what is making this sort of this dimming spotlight so difficult for so many of you because you're like, you know, representation addicts, you're glory addicts. How about we start focusing on earned glory or not even glory? Like, we're not even growing anymore. Like, you know, it's that vibe where people like have sex after like a team wins a Super Bowl or something. Like, you didn't do it. We're not we're not gaining our own sort of success and accomplishments or just these growth milestones.